GMGP, good morning, good people. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all decided to wake up with us. You're sick. You're sick in the head. There's a lot of fantasy football shows out there, but I promise y'all, they not like us. Brock Bowers, you looked a little quicker than fast. What does that even mean? Redraft, dynasty, best ball, high stakes, we got you covered.
And that's MVS and Justin Watson.
With some of the dopest tools designed to help you cancel out the noise and dominate your leagues.
If there's a white wide receiver named Antoine, sign me up.
Maybe it's cultural. I don't know. In season or off season, rain, sleet, hail, and snow,
comma, semicolon, period, next sentence.
to bring you the most actionable and entertaining content on YouTube. You don't go buy the dip on the Titanic.
Quarterback that you love, D-Bro. One of the best values in fantasy football.
Prop bets with my man JRich.
Is that yes! Let's go!
So wipe the crust out of your eye, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake y'all asses up with Ray
And Jay.
in the morning.
My God.
How good is
Dude.
he? How
So-
good is GMGP? Good morning, good people. It is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with me and my brother from another mother. Y'all know who I'm talking about, Jordan Richards. You can find him at your boy JRich. This is Wake Up with Ray and Jay every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just want to entertain. Want to talk ball, entertain y'all, talk a little NBA when need be. Yes, JRich, we will talk about your GOAT, Steph Curry, who was injured last night, but there was a big trade in the NFL this morning, Jay. My Dallas Cowboys. We talked about the offense, talked about the weapons, how awful it was. Worst starting cast of pass catchers in the NFL. We got us a damn dog, baby. We got us a damn dog, JRich. George Pickens on the move to Big D. My, oh my, we are going to talk about it. But the people are in the building, Jay. I see Jimbo. Jimbo in the building. What's happening with you? Patrick, GMGP, Ray. How you feeling? I'm feeling good, baby. I'm feeling good. It's Wednesday. I'm on vacation next week. We got George Pickens in Dallas. I'm feeling good, baby. I'm feeling good. Jorge from Rhode Island. What's popping with you? You in the building. Dynasty Noob, Jeff Math, Rico Stone, Fredo. What's popping with you? Cade Murphy, GMGP to you. I hope you have a wonderful, fantastic Wednesday. Derek Lincoln in the house. George Pickens to my Cowboys. Matter of fact, man, hold on. We got to giddy the hell up, man. We got to giddy up, baby. We got to giddy up. Let's go. I'm feeling good. Everybody, we are feeling great down here in Dallas with George Pickens on the team. Jay, how you doing today, big dog?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's not about me today, though, Ray. It's about you. It's about your Cowboys. It's about that big trade, and we're going to talk about the Cowboys side, the Steelers side. But it's a big one, man. Maybe we'll do some ranking of top wide receiver duos in the NFL now. I mean, it's looking pretty good, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Outside of your Rangers whooping my Red Sox yesterday, but outside of that, we're good. We're good.
I already see people in the chat overrated. I see some people talking about old Tyrese Halliburton. Hey, Indiana.
Now that was crazy.
There's a lot of good going on the hardwood in Indiana. I'm telling you right now, Caitlin Clark is probably going to be on a warpath this season in the WNBA. But we do have to talk about the big news, the big trade. But we got a little bit of news items that we're going to get to quickly. JRich, some Derek Carr news that you said was discussed, broken, talked about. We'll discuss that, but quickly from the association because we do like basketball. Yes, what a collapse. Oh, my God. The Cleveland Cavs. What a freaking meltdown against Indiana. They hadn't led in the game since the first damn quarter, and somehow they allow the Indiana Pacers to win not one but two games on their home court. Things are not looking good for those Cleveland Cavs, JRich. Halliburton getting it done at the end. What a freaking collapse by Cleveland.
Yeah, known as one of the best defense in the league. Obviously, they had a phenomenal season, but Tyrese Halliburton, the guy that I can't escape. I remember when he was traded to Indiana from Sacramento. I liked the trade, but my buddy was telling me that Halliburton was going to be a star, and I wasn't really sold. Man, he's just getting better and better and better and better, and I'll probably never ever live it down. With
yeah, man,
buddy.
he is playing damn good basketball right now. Your boy, one of the players that you think is one of the 5 greatest and most influential basketball players to ever do it, Stephen Curry and the Warriors got it done last night against Anthony Edwards and the T-Wolves, but Curry had to leave the game. JRich did not play in the second half. Hamstring injury for your boy Steph Curry. How we feeling about those odds if Curry cannot go? I mean, Draymond was draining threes. Jimmy Buckets making it happen. No Steph Curry potentially for Golden State, man.
I mean, it's not good, right? It's not good, but I mean, Curry only played 13 minutes. I have to imagine he didn't play much in the second quarter either.
Yeah, he didn't play much.
And they still won the game, which, you know, Anthony Edwards, Ray, everyone
you
says
don't like it. You don't think
no.
They
say this is what I've heard. This is just what I've heard. I've heard he's the guy. I've heard he's the man. I've heard he's the face. I've heard he's the future. I hear he's the present. I hear he's the King Slayer. That's what they say, right?
They say he is the King Slayer.
That's what they say. But to lose,
down 1-0 right now, though. Down 1-0
to
right now.
To lose with Curry hurt for a whole second half. I mean, the Warriors are good.
Not your goat, huh?
Good.
Not your goat.
Not my goat. Not yet. No.
There it is. Not your
probably
goat.
Never will be.
Let's talk about the show's GOAT quarterback and Dark Side Dev's GOAT quarterback as well. Shadoor Sanders, JRich, wearing number 12 for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Are you? Let me ask you this, man, because we on this show and me in particular talked so much about Sanders throughout the draft process. Goes round 5. I'm still having a hard time truly seeing a pathway where he gets on the field. I mean, is he playing this year? Leading jersey sale rookie, the 5th round pick. Is he gonna play this year, Jay? Like, real talk, man. Not the hopium. Not, because we want to see it happen. What are the real chances this dude gets on the field this season for Cleveland?
I think they're pretty good, honestly.
Okay. That makes me feel better. I didn't think
it's
they
not
were good
that
at
I
all.
think it's fair, but is Dylan Gabriel going to beat out Shadoor Sanders in camp? I don't know. Like, that's the number one question. If you believe that he's going to beat out Gabriel in camp, which if he's as good as everyone says he is, he should, right? Because Dylan Gabriel's nothing crazy. Like, he's not this supreme. He was just drafted higher.
He's not a bum either. I'm just saying he might not be Dan Marino, but he's not a bum. Like, Dylan Gabriel is not a bum quarterback.
No, and I agree with that. I think his experience in college should give him a leg up on Sanders, but it doesn't mean that he's going to play over Sanders should a rookie quarterback step in and play. I think one of them is going to play this year, and honestly, it's not necessarily because I think he's the better quarterback by a wide margin. I just think that the fans are going to want to see him. The owner's going to want to see him. Like, and that's the sad part for Dylan Gabriel is that he was drafted to a good situation that needed a quarterback or at least quarterback stability, but now he has Shadoor Sanders nipping at his heels. And as you mentioned, whether it's players, potentially some coaching staff, and definitely the owner, because that's the reason he got drafted there, want to see him on the field, not the other guy. So Gabriel will have to be probably significantly better in practice to be deserving of that first rookie start, at least in my opinion. Do you feel any differently, though, about that?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard for me right now in May to say that, oh, yeah, he's absolutely going to beat out Dylan Gabriel in camp. He's 1,000% better. Gabriel was no bum in college. He's got a lot of experience, and they took him 2 rounds higher than Sanders. It's just, I want him to get out there. I've got hope. I hope he does. I wish he does. But the reality of it, I don't know, Jay. I don't know. Especially not to be taking him where I've seen some people taking him in rookie drafts. I wouldn't be.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not as high on him being impactful to that degree, especially where he was drafted. Another quarterback in the NFL. You brought this up in the pre-show. I don't know much about the piece that came out on Derek Carr, but talk about whatever it is that you saw about Derek Carr and how this might impact the New Orleans Saints and what they have to do at quarterback here in 25.
Yeah, so Jane Slater put out a piece on X yesterday, basically talking about what she's found out from her inside sources on the Derek Carr situation, right? So there was talks of Carr not being in New Orleans at all and staying away from the team, and that's not true. He's been to New Orleans twice and met with the team doctors at the facility. And then the other thing is that people don't know when the injury happened. There was reports that, you know, it's a fake injury and it's not real and it's for him trying to negotiate a contract and trying to get out of New Orleans. He apparently believes he was injured that throwing shoulder in the same game he injured his wrist, which was week 14. But the other side of it is why aren't we finding out about the injury until now? And, you know, Carr took his offseason, was away from the team, hasn't been throwing, and it wasn't apparently until we found out about the injury that he realized something was wrong with his shoulder, and he's still weighing whether or not to get surgery because he's gotten surgery on this shoulder before, but there's also a world where he could miss the entire season, which we have heard, but now a bit more confirmed by inside sources and potentially from his side as well. And so the Saints are trying to figure out what's best for them. That's why they drafted Tyler Shuck, and we'll see what they decide to do at quarterback. I know we had some questions early in the show, whether it be Rattler or Shuck to start, and kind of our thoughts on that. But it seems like they're kind of waiting for Carr to make a decision. If he does get surgery, it will probably be over the summer, at which point the Saints will go another direction at quarterback, in theory, at least training camp. But she is saying that we are hoping to get a decision sooner rather than later. So hopefully we get it some point during the summer, and hopefully, more importantly, before training camp, to allow the Saints to then decide who's going to be their number one training camp quarterback and kind of where they could be headed to start the season.
Any more enthusiasm in your fantasy football rookie drafts to take a shot on Tyler Shuck, knowing that there's at least a better chance than zero that Derek Carr isn't playing quarterback for the Saints this fall?
I'd say a little bit, yeah. I would say a little bit for sure, because while, again,
maybe some Rattler too, right? Let's not forget that Rattler is.
The problem for me with Rattler is that he was so bad. It's like maybe you get him for basically free, and that's the reason you do it. But I think the problem with Rattler is people have already seen him be so bad. If he does get the starting opportunity and he doesn't look good, like, is there even demand once he's announced the starter? That's where it's kind of difficult, right?
Jeff said Rattler or Shadoor.
I would take Shadoor.
Okay.
It's I wouldn't even say it's that close.
Yeah, Starley
I just don't know if there's
Tyler
a trade market for Rattler if he's announced the starter week one. Like, everyone's healthy week one anyways. Shout out to my dog
Starley in the chat. Starley said Tyler Shuck about to start. I mean, I hadn't seen this report. I didn't see this interview, this news, but apparently they feel some type of way about it as they drafted Shuck, 40th overall in a couple of weeks ago. Yep. Yeah. All right, Jay. Last thing. I don't know if you saw, but the NFL draft is headed to the nation's capital in 2027. NFL draft going to DC in 2027. So we've got our sights for the 27 NFL draft. Where's it at next year? You know where it's at next year? 26?
I think it's in LA.
Is it in LA? Well, this one would be dope.
It's in Pittsburgh.
Oh, it's in Pittsburgh, huh? Yeah, it's in LA. It's in Pittsburgh.
I was just wishing it's in LA.
Yeah, just wishing. There's a lot of people from Pittsburgh that don't you talk stuff about Wisconsin and Green Bay. Don't do that about Pittsburgh.
No, I couldn't do that. I still want to go to PNC.
Yeah, I don't need the people. I don't need the people coming at me about that one. But Jay, let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it. That dog was traded. George Pickens traded from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Dallas Cowboys. Early this morning, Jay? Early this morning?
Yeah, it was like, it broke like maybe not an hour ago now, but probably around like 7:30, maybe 7 o'clock Eastern. There was some rumblings about it last night. CeeDee Lamb tweeted last night out of nowhere. So
what did CeeDee tweet? What did CeeDee tweet out?
Just a waving hands emoji. That's it. Just a little emoji. Yeah.
All right. Dallas.
That was like 10 hours ago. Yeah.
Dallas gets their wide receiver 2. They did not address the position in the draft. This was an offense that looked stank prior to this trade. I mean, the wide receivers, according to ESPN, that would start was going to be Kevontae Turpin and Jalen Tolbert, alongside CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. I don't care what you think about the attitude, the off the field, whatever it is, on the field, this was a great move by the Dallas Cowboys. They traded a 3rd-round pick for Pickens. They still have the opportunity to franchise tag him after this year. They don't have to pay him a bunch of money after this season. On the field production, what he can bring to the Dallas Cowboys, fantastic trade. Love it. Love his fit in Dallas alongside CeeDee Lamb. We're going to pull some stuff up and really look at what Pickens did well last year and how that's going to mesh with the things that Dak Prescott likes to do. Big X factor, and we'll just nobody knows what it's going to look like with Brian Schottenheimer. I meant, you can go back some days. You can go back to some old Brian Schottenheimer offensive days, which hopefully he's grown and learned from that. But we don't know how this offense is going to perform. But I can tell you right now, Pickens is better than anybody outside of CeeDee Lamb in that pass catching room. I think the trade on just face value, good for Dallas.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think the best part about this is that Pickens is not a player you want to put in the slot like basically at all, right? And so this is where finding that complement, and we talked about this when we talked about Tedero McMillan playing in Dallas, is like he's a player that can operate inside and out and may even be a little bit better inside. We've already discussed at so much length just how good CD is in the slot and how effective he is in the slot. So having a dominant outside wide receiver that can play alongside him really complements him very, very well. So you just talk about the fit of CD and Pickens. On paper, it just makes so much sense. And now Dak has a legitimate number 2 to throw the ball to, which is great for both of them.
Yeah, let's pull a couple of things up. I want to look at just the usage of Pickens last year, the usage of CeeDee Lamb last year, and see if there's any just immediate overlap where we could see him plugging into. And for that, we are going to use the best usage tracker in the game, Trinity, on ddfantasyfootball.com. Really easy, right? You just follow the damn dots. High dots, very good usage. Below the line, you want them to be a little bit better. Here is Pittsburgh and Dallas from 2024. You see at the top of the screen, CeeDee Lamb, 7.69 score, getting us 17 fantasy points per game. And then you see George Pickens. The usage for his team was great. Over a 7 usage score. So that is what you want from a high-end wide receiver one, but well below that yellow line right there. You want to see that usage flip, and a lot of this is due to the QB play. When you got poor QB play, normally your receivers and the usage isn't going to equate to as much fantasy points as a team with a good quarterback. But then you look after CeeDee Lamb, Jay, you don't see anybody in that zap. Nobody in the middle right there. No other wide receiver 2s, wide receiver 3s that are even being utilized in a way to really score you some good fantasy points. You got who's his back here? Jake Ferguson giving you 7. Jalen Tolbert right here, 4.25 score, not doing much for you. So when you just look at all the stuff that people cite in fantasy football, yards per route run, which is a misused stat. People don't even know what the hell it means or how it applies. Yards after the catch, air yard share, first read target share, targets per route run. All of that is just in a dot. We put it all together into a nice, easy, clean score. Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, JRich, just the usage from Dallas's pass catchers, adding him to it. This, without looking at anything else, I know that this is going to be a good situational fit for George Pickens.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is about it is that we know the targets are going to be there. We know they're available because Dak has shown the ability to throw the ball at an extremely high rate in neutral situations to win games. And you've talked about it plenty. The defense has been really bad the past couple seasons. And especially coming into this year, it's still a bit uncertain how good they're going to be. And getting a player like Pickens is kind of them admitting, maybe we're just going to need more firepower than we had going in. And it's funny because, like, of all the situations probably in the NFL and places that realistically could have been traded to, Dallas is really like almost at the top, if not the very top of the list for any premier outside wide receiver to go to. And it's interesting only because we weren't sure how DK Metcalf and George Pickens were going to work together. But now you have a situation where Pickens is now in a place where he can thrive as a wide receiver too, and it's not a detriment to his ceiling because last year is the one he had 900 yards and only 3 touchdowns on 100 targets. Right, he could easily surpass all of those numbers in Dallas, and he could do that by week 14, 15 of the season because that's how much more prolific Dak Prescott is as a passer and how much more offensively they're going to do with George Pickens on the field. And CeeDee Lamb obviously going to have a fantastic season as well. But both these guys, right, I wouldn't be shocked if these guys fight to be near the top of wide receiver duos in the NFL in 2025. I really wouldn't be that shocked because if everything goes right, and Brian Schottenheimer, as you mentioned, is a massive X factor here, they could operate as one of the best duos in the league.
Well,
at least
Jay,
close to the top 5.
let's not just throw those things out there without the data to back what we're saying and how well Pickens does fit into this offense with Dak Prescott. And I believe, just like many people say, the best predictor of fantasy points in the future is what they've done in the past. Well, I think the best predictor of what wide receivers are going to do are the things that they've been able to do throughout their NFL career. And thanks to True Media, JRich, I got a bunch of what George Pickens likes to do. You want to take a look at George Pickens' route inventory, how successful he was at certain routes, and kind of look at that versus CD versus the things that Dak Prescott likes to do well. Let's talk some real ball here, JRich. Let's pull up True Media. We're going to pull up True Media. Shout out to True Media. And we are going to look at, not this right here. This is George Pickens. George Pickens' profile from the 2024 season. Got heat maps on the screen. In the middle of the screen, you could just see the dots, right? You could see where he's used. Without looking at anything, I can tell that he lives up and down the sideline. Not a lot over the middle of the field, up and down the sidelines, right? But here's where things get this is where things get good, JRich. This is where things get good when you look at the type of things that George Pickens does well. Right here is his route types in 2024. What you can see on the screen is how many of these routes he ran, the targets, the receptions, the success rate, yards, touchdowns. Was he aligned inside or outside? So let me just give you a holistic look at George Pickens from 2024. He received, of his 434 routes, he had 103 targets, 59 catches, 900 yards, 42% success rate. Not great for George Pickens, okay? Out wide, 69.9% of his targets or of his routes and opportunity aligned from the outside. And as you alluded to, only 26.2% from the slot. So this is an outside boundary wide receiver. What are the things that George Pickens did well? I think intuitively we probably all think, oh, down the field, stretching the field, go routes. But look at how much production from George Pickens' 2024 season came on that one route. 352 yards on 24 targets, 52 routes, go routes. 119 of his yards in 2024 came on the hitch route, and 117 came on the out routes. You know what those routes are? H-O-G. I don't give a shit about anybody's separation, none of that. Are you throwing the ball? Does the team throw you the ball? And if they throw you the ball and you're successful, I'll be able to figure that out. Hog routes, I don't care what team, what player, hitch routes, out routes, go routes are probably going to be at or near the top for every single team, for every single elite receiver. And when you look at what Pickens was able to do and what he didn't do well, look at that wide receiver screen. You can't see it down here, JRich, but wide receiver screens, he had 27 yards on screen plays. Crossing routes, he had 62 yards on crossers, so he's not doing anything really over the middle of the field. 64 yards when targeted on slant routes. He is a sideline monster. He is a player that wins vertically down the field. That is what George Pickens does, all right? Stay right here with me. This is Pickens' stuff. Let's just flip the script. Let's look at some CD Lamb, JRich. Let's take a look at CD Lamb from 2024, and then I'm going to ask your opinion on the player. So without even looking at his routes, just look at the heat map. Look at that purple and yellow and orange map versus what we saw right here from George Pickens. Just look at Pickens' deployment and usage. Look at CD Lamb. What do you see, JRich? What do you see?
I see a player that actually wins over the middle of the field, right?
A little more coverage, kind of like Verizon versus Cricket, right? A lot more coverage with that CD Lamb right here. But what does Lamb do, JRich? Like where is it that he wins in relation to George Pickens? Well, let's pull up CD Lamb's routes from 2024 and where he was successful and where he wasn't. CD Lamb, 85 hitch routes, number one run route, not his most, and his number one receptions, right? 23 receptions on the hitch route for CD Lamb. His number one most run route last year. He was targeted on the hitch route more than any other route. What do you see at the top of this as well? Wide receiver screens, crossing routes. Two things that Pickens doesn't do. He doesn't do it. He wasn't asked to do it. And the last time you saw him running over the middle of the field, what was he doing? Dropping the damn ball. So CD Lamb doing two things that Pickens doesn't do well. Now, one of the routes in which CD Lamb didn't do a lot as far as receptions and volume accumulation numbers, go route, only 8 receptions, but 262 yards on go routes for CD Lamb, which he can operate, JRich, as you can see on the screen, both out wide and in the slot. So Lamb, hitches, cross routes, wide receiver screens, slants, go routes a little lower in his inventory. And you see what Pickens did. Most of his production down the field on go routes, hitch routes, and out routes. These two, just off of what they like to do, what the offense asked them to do in 2024, the compliment is right there. there's little overlap between what these two players want to do, JRich. So just seeing Lamb and his route usage and deployment versus George Pickens, tell me what you think about those two guys before I pull up Dak Prescott and what he likes to do well.
I think it just makes a lot of sense, right? And I think the best part about these two players is that it's so easy to just pair them together and say, this is how you're going to operate because this is what you're already good at. You're not taking someone who isn't good at something and making them better at it or trying to develop them further. Like, CD can do everything on the field. We already know that. But as you highlighted, the ways that CD is quote unquote deficient or isn't asked to do simply because of the ways that he wins and he succeeds in the NFL. George Pickens is already great at all of those things. And so the fit of the two players together is a very easy marriage to come together. But the interesting thing I'm interested to see in is that, will you see a bit more crossers from a player like George Pickens in this offense? Will you see that more from CeeDee Lamb? Because you look at last season, it's tough because CD ran a ton of hitches last year because they couldn't get the ball down the field.
Correct.
But you'd expect a bit more downfield work from CD, not necessarily in the form of go routes, but in the form of crossers and maybe some more out routes and stuff like that as well. But Pickens and CD, in the way they've already shown success in the NFL, are different types of receivers and will win in different ways. And I think the way that they win complements each other almost perfectly. And so as long as Schottenheimer does his job and keeps George Pickens doing things that he does well, once again in the NFL, and keeping CD doing the things that he does well, they'll probably be just fine. But just on the face value for what they've done, it's great.
33% success rate on slant routes and crossing routes for George Pickens in 24. By far the lowest success rate that a quarterback had when targeting him on those routes. So for whatever reason, when he's running across the middle of the field, bad things happen. And CeeDee Lamb, good things happen when he does just about everything. But that is an area where I don't believe Pickens is going to pull anything away from CeeDee Lamb. Like they don't intersect in that way. All receivers are going to run a bunch of out routes and hitch routes. What you want to see are some of those other easy button out. And just think about when you watch Lamb, how many times do we see him running across the middle of the field, right? Those dig routes, those crossing routes, doing stuff after the catch. Like, this is a great pairing just schematically from what these two receivers do that are juxtaposed to one another. But all of that stuff doesn't matter, JRich. It really doesn't matter how good a receiver is at getting open, doing all this stuff, if your quarterback can't throw the ball, if your quarterback isn't proficient at doing some of those things. But luckily, thanks to True Media, and I went back because I wanted a little larger sample size from Dakota. I wanted a little larger sample size. What does Dak Prescott like to do? Over the last 3 years, how good has Dak been at targeting those routes, and how good might we project him to be with Pickens and CeeDee Lamb on the field? Well, we got the same type of deal, right? We got the same thing over at True Media pulled up. Let me show you this. JRich, and the people right here. Here's Dak Prescott. Here's Dak Prescott over the last 3 years, just combined, 2022, 2023, and 2024. You see he's got two routes in which they have the only two routes where he's attempted thrown the ball to the wide receiver over 200 times. Hitch route and out route. Win quickly. Hitch out. Hitch out. That's the first two letters of hog. Hitch and out route. 220 pass attempts over the last 3 years were hitch routes. 77% completion percentage, 1,600 yards for Dak Prescott. 3 touchdowns, 4 picks. Not great. 229 attempts on the out route. 58% success rate, 74% completion, 1,457 as far as total yardage. And then the third most successful route over the last 3 years for Dak Prescott, the go route. Hitch, out, go. 1,600 yards, 18 touchdowns on go routes, and 8 TDs. 43% success rate. I know that feels low, but it's actually, when you're pushing the ball down the field, it's actually pretty good. Like, we're talking about, you've got some quarterbacks down in the 30s and the 20s, so 43% success rate going down the field on 9 routes for Dak. Very good. And then his fourth most deployed route, you can see there's a tie, crossing routes and slant routes. Every QB, folks, routes, they have a type. Every quarterback, they have a type, they have a route, they have a concept, and they've got a receiver on that offense that can do the things that they like to do well. It's not hard. Receiver's a very easy position to figure out. Like, what's the quarterback want to do? What's the skill set of the receiver? And when I look at this, hitch, out, go, crosser, slant, you know who that's 5 check marks for? CeeDee Lamb. You know who it's about 3, 2.5, 3 check marks for? George Pickens. But if Pickens can thrive down the field on those go routes in which Dak Prescott has more touchdowns throwing the go than any other route over the last 3 years, down the field, Dak wants to push the ball. He's scoring touchdowns. And then if George Pickens can just do some of the easy volume button throws that Dak likes to operate under, hitch route, out route, this could be a very, very fruitful situation for George Pickens in conjunction with what they already have with CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, and Ray, you laid out the case here, and this is the best part about this type of analysis is that clearly Dak Prescott is going to throw hitches, outs, and goes. Like, it's going to happen, right?
It's going to happen.
And it doesn't matter whether it's Kevontae Turpin or Jonathan Mingo or Jalen Tolbert. Like, those routes are implemented in the offense, and they will be thrown at some point to whoever's out there. And then you go further down the chart and you have the cross and the slants, and that's where CeeDee does his work. And he's getting the majority of those routes because he's going to find success in those opportunities. So Dallas needs to bring in a receiver that can operate in the boundaries of the field, in the outs, with the goes, with the hitches, and that's why George Pickens is going to be so great in Dallas, because this offense will revolve around those hog routes, as you mentioned, and Dak is clearly throwing them regardless, but he doesn't need a player that can go over the middle because he doesn't throw those routes as often, and he needs a player that can succeed out and in the boundaries of the field, and George Pickens can absolutely do that.
Man, Joe dropped a question in here, and before we go to break, I want to try to make this as simple as I can. Joe said, isn't Jake Ferg going to pull enough targets away from Pickens to make him a wide receiver 3? I will say that here's how I'm going to answer that question, Joe. And I'm telling you, it's, for me, it makes things much easier for me to see, or at least try to predict how those guys are going to be used. It's not guessing on the role or guessing on the routes. It's literally looking at the usage, right? So my question to you would be, how much better do you think Jake Ferg could be from what he was last year? And then look right here. Like, this is the simplest way to do it. This is Dallas from 2024. This is all the usage. Whatever targets you think could be pulled away from CeeDee Lamb or from George Pickens, look at the massive gap between CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. That right there. And if we put any other good offense on the screen, right? Just look at the gap between the wide receiver 1 and the next pass catcher, how much space is in between those guys. And if you pull up a good offense, you won't see that. Watch this, JRich. What is it? Tampa Bay. What is it? Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Where's that?
Tampa Bay's your
Tampa
staple,
Bay.
right?
Like, look, you've got Godwin and Evans, and you've got your tight end there. You've got 3 players inside of that 3 range threshold. Cincinnati, we add them, another good offense. 1, 2, you got 2 guys inside of that tier. Most teams have 2 wide receivers inside of that wide receiver 3 and beyond threshold that have good offenses. You put Detroit on here, JRich, it's going to look the same. There's Amon-Ra, there's J-Mo, there's Cade Otton. So to answer the question, tight end bucketed targets they're a separate allocation. It's like a separate fund. No tight end target is going to pull from the receiver. It's just, unless that tight end is Travis Kelce, like there is enough pass attempts to go around in an offense. The quarterback is going to throw the ball 600 plus times a season. I'm not worried about Jake Ferguson pulling away usage that is clearly missing from that team from a player like George Pickens. Every good offense with a good quarterback has multiple wide receivers, not tight end wide receiver, but wide receivers that fit inside of that threshold. And I don't care what team you look at. Here's Minnesota. Jefferson. Here's where this is where I would expect Pickens to be. If we're saying he's going to be in a more efficient offense, the first thing is he's going to flip his usage. He's going to drop from below the line, JRich. He's going to land above the line, right? That's what's going to happen with a good quarterback. No, I don't think he's going to be up at the same range as CD, but if we've got Pickens right where Addison is, 6.3, 15 points per game, I think everybody would be pretty happy about that from a wide receiver too, that will absolutely give you some of those spike weeks where he has multiple touchdowns. It's usage, and it's really, really simple to see that Dallas is just lacking what most good offenses and good pass catching rooms have, which is another guy right where Jordan Addison is behind CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, right. Can you pull up their 2023? Because I think that's what people look to and say, well, why isn't Jake Ferguson going to see 102 targets like he did in 2023, right? But this is the same situation. Like
he got you. There's still a gap. Even with him giving you 10 fantasy points per game, there's still a big gap for another wide receiver. I can tell you they've been needing somebody without looking at anything. Like this right here lets me know that it was just CeeDee Lamb. Like as good as Ferg was, there's still so much that this offense is leaving on the table, not having a viable number 2 behind CD.
And that's what I wanted to point out, right? Like CD had 181 targets. Ferg still had 102, but didn't do a whole lot with that. They gave Brandon Cooks 81 targets. Tony Pollard had 67. Michael Gallup 57. Jalen Tolbert 36. Like this offense, right? And I think the best part about this now is now you can look at this offense and say there is a real funnel here. It's a clear funnel that's going to go CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Jake Ferguson. That's it. Don't even look at Jalen Tolbert. Don't look at anybody else on the roster. It is just these 3 players. And I think it will go in that order because, as you mentioned, there is just limitations that Jake Ferguson has that George Pickens doesn't. And he can offer them so much more that they should be giving him that opportunity. And I think he will do a lot with it. And so because they've been looking for that wide receiver 2 for what, 3+ years, basically since they lost Amari Cooper.
Yes.
He is going to fill that role in the offense.
I don't agree with Nick. I don't think Ferg is dust. This is not an anti-Ferg. What I just laid out was not anti-Ferg. It was just pro whomever that. That's why we wanted it for that. That's why we wanted it to be Ted. And anybody like come in, play
and now
that
it's
role.
Pickens.
This is not anti-Ferguson. I think Ferg will be fine, right? I think Ferg is going to be what he is, Jay. This is all about if Dak is who we think he is, and we ain't getting to playoffs and winning playoff games with regular season warrior, he's giving you 4K. If Dak is throwing for 4,000 plus yards, you better believe that another pass catcher not named Kevontae Turpin is going to get a significant slice of that pie. CD's going to get his. I'm not worried about it. This offense needed something else inside of that wide receiver room. They found it in George Pickens, and man,
do they pay him? Because this is the spicy part, though.
I do want to talk about some of the things because people are saying, he's a locker room splitter, a cancer, things of that nature. What they traded him, right? You don't trade a guy that you think is worth $150 million. They first and foremost, they traded for DK Metcalf, correct? That's
a second rounder.
That's first and foremost. They traded a second rounder for DK, paid him $150 million or whatever the deal was. They kind of signified that we're not going to move forward with you. Whether it was the locker room antics, the on-field production was inconsistent, to say it politely. It was inconsistent, right?
Yeah, no, it absolutely was. And the thing with Pickens especially is that everyone knows he has a ton of talent. Whether he's a headache in the locker room or in the building is another conversation. But the talent is definitely there. And Dallas took the gamble. And this is just what Pittsburgh does at the same time. Like, they draft a receiver in the second round. They see what he's got for 2 or 3 years. And if they think he's worthy of being paid, then he gets paid. And if he doesn't get paid, then they trade him. This is going way down the line. Like, this is what they did with Deontay Johnson. This is what they did with Chase Claypool. This is what they did now with George Pickens when Chase Claypool announced George Pickens as a replacement. And then we'll see what they decide to do with Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson as their kind of second, third wide receiver. But this is a team that doesn't want to pass the ball. Like, they don't want to pass the ball. They've actively worked on their rushing attack.
Hold on. The people said the audio is tripping. Hold on. The people said the stream is bugging. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. Let's let everybody refresh. Refresh that joint real quick. Refresh that joint. It's all good. Refresh that joint. Fake football fan said, I hear JRich perfectly fine. YouTube audio cutting. Let's give him a second, Jay. Give him a second.
Yeah, well, actually, Conja said they did it with Juju too. Juju was another one.
Refresh work, refresh the stream. What we're going to do, let's just go to break real quick. We need to do that anyway. We'll go to break. We'll let people refresh the stuff. Audio is fine. Well, damn it. Hit the like button now. You said the stream was fucked. Hit the like button now since the audio is better. We'll be back after the break, all right? Welcome in, everybody, for another stream over here on Bleacher Report, NFL Daily. You can find JRich and I every single week here on this app.
The moment I say it, they'll say, oh, yuck. And it's got to be Najee Harris, right? It's
That world is in an alternate timeline somewhere in the multiverse. It ain't here on Earth 616 or whatever. It ain't here. JRich and I are on every single Thursday, 7 p.m. All right, audio check. Audio check. Are we good? Are we good, Wake Up fam?
Should be good.
We should be good. We should be good. Appreciate y'all pulling up. Wake Up with Ray and Jay every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday here on the channel. If you're new, I mean, we just have a good time. I really love this community, man. Like, you know, we could get on here. We're pulling up all kind of route data. It's early in the damn morning. Who the hell wants to see that at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? But the people are in the building. We're vibing football stuff. Like, people don't even realize, Jay, we're not even really discussing fantasy because all you got to do is talk about the game. Like, what is really happening on the field and how might you react and maneuver in fantasy football. You know, a lot of our audience, they love it, man. Love Dynasty, but the ability to have these kind of football type conversations, I love this shit, man. I love it. So I appreciate y'all being here. We want to do this more. We want to do more of these type of content and streams for you guys. So subscribe to the channel. If you're here and you're watching and you enjoy what we do, man, we're doing this thing 24/7, 365. Subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up button, support what we're doing. You ain't got to pay $1 if you don't want to, but just hit the thumbs up button, subscribe. All right. Refresh good. The refresh good. You know, you got to kind of filibuster a little bit to make sure we're good, JRich. But if we're good, let's talk about Pittsburgh quickly. Let's talk about Pittsburgh. What's this mean for the Steelers? How you feeling about DK? How do you feel about Freiermuth? Hell, how do you feel about Caleb Johnson knowing that they lost another pass catcher? They've got Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson, still no quarterback. What do we do?
I mean, the thing about the Pickens trade is that part is not surprising. The surprising part is that he ended up in Dallas, right? There's a lot of rumblings pre-draft that Pickens could be traded, and especially, as you mentioned, second-round pick for DK. Then you pay him, and we know that Pickens in a contract year. It seems like that wasn't going to happen for him, and it seemed like maybe he had kind of worn his way out in Pittsburgh so far. But it's still puzzling for the Steelers, because if you're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers, why are you trading away your second best receiver, or maybe even your best receiver, with Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, if this is a all-in move to go get Aaron Rodgers to try and win as much as possible, like, I just don't think it makes a lot of sense. Like, how are you staying competitive when you're trading away one of your best offensive players? The running game's probably going to be pretty good. There's 3 talented running backs. We expect Caleb Johnson to kind of lead the way probably in the second half. But, like, even if you're Aaron Rodgers, you know, Ian Rappaport was on he's on Good Morning Football this morning, talking about how he doesn't think this is going to affect Aaron Rodgers' chances of signing with the Steelers because he's only been working out with DK Metcalf. So clearly, it wouldn't be unknown to him for George Pickens to be traded. But if you're a quarterback who wants to win, like, trading away one of their better receivers is definitely a bit of a problem when all you have is DK Metcalf. Like, it's not like DK Metcalf is Jamar Chase, right? Like, he's good. He's not great. And Ray, like, I have to ask you this. Do you think there's a world where this passing offense is even worse than it was last year? Because as bad as George Pickens was at time, granted, that was because of the quarterback play, can DK Metcalf overcome this bad quarterback play? Even if it is Aaron Rodgers, it's a little bit better. But if it's not Aaron Rodgers, then what? Then this team is probably, I mean, they're not going to be worse than Cleveland, but they're definitely going to be a distant third probably in this division.
DK's usage score is trending 7.44, which was pretty good. 14.5 fantasy points, 15 fantasy points last year in Seattle.
He's good.
I don't know how much better he is than Pickens. I feel like they're kind of the same player a little bit. Maybe where DK can take the top off with the speed, maybe Pickens' body control and ability to make some outstanding catches is a little better. But they're like one and the same to me. I don't know if this. I'll say this: I don't think Pittsburgh's wide receiver room got better with the trade. Maybe they got rid of a problem. Maybe they got rid of a player
For sure.
that people were tired of, and it's better for the overall vibe of the locker room. Cool. But when when the whistle blows on Sunday, the hell with that locker room. We need some players on the field that can go get it. And it's not a better offense without George Pickens. And it's damn sure not a better offense with what the projected starting quarterback right now is, Mason Rudolph. I don't. We'll see.
It's
Some people in
confusing,
the chat
right?
say
To
Rodgers
trade.
ain't playing this year. Some people in the chat are saying Rodgers ain't playing this year.
It's possible, right? And we talked about Will Howard on our Monday show as a potential upside pick, but that was with George Pickens. Like best part about all this is like,
does Rodgers even matter, man? Does it even? Is it
based off what they've had a little bit, right? Like the Pittsburgh QB play has been pretty bad. Like let's be honest about how bad it's been for them. It's been Kenny Pickett, it's been a bit of Mason Rudolph, and then it was Justin Fields / Russell Wilson, and it didn't really work out at all for either of those guys. But, it's confusing because I understand what they're trying to do to build this better receiver core, but like to pay DK Metcalf when you have George Pickens for nothing, it's like, just keep him, man. Like maybe he's a pain in the ass. Maybe he's tough to deal with, and maybe you got to bench him because he's just too much and you don't want to deal with him anymore. I understand getting the 3rd round pick for him is good, but it's just, if you're actually trying to win and the plan is to sign Aaron Rodgers at some point, like it just makes no sense to me. Can he really be that much of a problem, or do you really just want to get that third round pick out of
Ricky
him?
makes a good point. He said the Bills were a better offense without Diggs. Addition by subtraction with Pickens.
But they didn't overpay a receiver to replace him.
And
like they didn't. It's very different.
And Ricky, I mean, the offense was run by Josh Allen. Like that's the difference, right? Like it's not
the difference.
If you would have taken Diggs off of that team and it was Matt Barkley at quarterback, it would not have been a better team. It would not have been a better offense. It was a better offense because they have a top 2-3 player in the NFL in Josh Allen. So I hear you. I don't know. But right. But that's what I would say. That the Bills had Josh Allen. So that, and most people in the chat are saying that as well. All right, Jay, your favorite game. Your favorite game.
Oh.
Would you rather? You ready? Or would you rather?
More than ready. More than ready.
More than ready. All right, we got 5.
I need specifics here, though. People always ask. They say we don't give enough context in these would you rathers, and they always demand that for more context. So, what is your context, and what am I answering, Ray?
Context is which receiver would you rather have, man? However you want to slice it, however you want to go with it. Which pass catching option would you rather have for the 2025 NFL season? Would you rather have George Pickens, JRich, the new wide receiver 2 for the Dallas Cowboys, or would you rather have 1st round pick Emeka Egbuka of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? So your first would you rather, there's no more context coming. Would you rather have George Pickens or Emeka Egbuka?
I will happily take George Pickens as the wide receiver 2 in Dallas over Emeka Egbuka.
Talk about that, man. No other comments have come through the chat yet. Confidently, George Pickens over Egbuka. Talk about it, Jay.
I would probably say if I projected the Cowboys today, I'd give him at least 130 targets. And Emeka Egbuka ain't doing that. And George Pickens still 24 years old. He could be on Dallas beyond this season, but even just that one season of George Pickens, I think you could probably cash out for a haul because, let's be honest, Ray, the people love themselves some George Pickens. And if Emeka Egbuka isn't getting on the field a whole lot, I think it's pretty easy going to be George Pickens.
It's already split. Garrison came through. He was the first one. He said Pickens. We've got Fantasy Weeze going Egbuka.
It's for 2025, right?
Egbuka. Jimbo says Pickens. Jameson in the chat. Shout out Jameson. Pickens. Fake Football Fun. He goes, this is for 2025. Pickens. We got Ike in the chat. Pickens. D-Law from 3D. GP over Emeka Egbuka. All right, JRich. Fredo says seasonal. It's Pickens. Dynasty. It's Egbuka. Doesn't matter. Seasonal or dynasty.
For me, it doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
For me, it doesn't matter. I'd be taking George Pickens because I'll cash out this season, and that's all I care about.
All right, JRich. George Pickens or the aforementioned DK Metcalf, the new number one, unquestioned, number
Very
one wide
unquestioned.
receiver in Pittsburgh. Would you rather have DK Metcalf or George Pickens?
I would still take George Pickens. And part of it is my belief in Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott went healthy. Go back to 2023, 4,500 yards, 36 touchdowns. I mean, you start splitting that around between the top two wide receivers in Dallas. CeeDee Lamb was the wide receiver one, and I think at that point, George Pickens has a pretty high touchdown ceiling as well, along with CeeDee Lamb. It sounds crazy, but we know this Arthur Smith offense just isn't good for wide receivers. We saw George Pickens only have 900 yards last year. We saw Drake London only have, I don't even think Drake London had 1,000 yards under Arthur Smith either. Like, talented receivers are not doing very well under Arthur Smith. I think that George Pickens could easily have 1,000 with Dak Prescott this season, so I'll take George Pickens.
I thought it would be Pickens. Universal consensus. It is anything
people
but.
are
Jason
really
Flores
not like
says it's DK Metcalf, Mike, DK, and it's easy. Jameson, our boy, going with DK Metcalf. Prob 1017 says DK. Jimbo saying DK. Garrison, DK. This is an interesting one, Jay.
People are very sour on the Cowboys, and they forget just how good Dak really is when he has players to throw the ball to. Like, I just need you to remember that. Drake London, y'all love Drake London, but when Arthur Smith was there, I don't know, man.
How am I getting shot?
Know.
I'm catching strays from Sam. Ray is such an instigator. How am I instigating? I'm just asking the question here, JRich.
Ray, what the funny part about this is that we're talking about a guy who's never even, he's had 1,300 yards, but he hasn't since 2020, right? Like, it's not like he's this dominant 150 target guy year in, year out. Like,
Marcus said DK throwing the ball to himself and running under it to go catch it. All right, I got another one. Would you rather George Pitt 2025, however you want to slice it, dynasty, redraft, regular football, however you want to slice it, 2025. Would you rather have George Pickens or everybody's wide receiver one, the people's wide receiver one, DJ Moore of the Chicago Bears? Would you rather George Pickens or DJ Moore, JRich?
It's
hard,
tough.
isn't it?
This one's a little bit tougher because I think George Pickens could be very good, but I still personally believe that DJ Moore is the wide receiver one for now. I know you don't agree. I don't agree.
I do not agree.
But if I was making a bet on a player, if I was betting on a player, I would bet on George Pickens. I think it could be very close, but I would bet on George Pickens.
Pickens or DJ Moore?
I would take George Pickens. I think that if he does anything, he's going to explode in value, like, honestly. And that's not happening for DJ Moore. But I think the final production could be very close.
Hayden Hendricks, DJ Moore, easy. Dally it up, DJ Moore.
A lot of people like DJ Moore. I think it'll be close, though. I think it will.
Ricky, DJ Moore, the Kid G Money, Pickens, Fantasy Weeze, picking Sam. Oh, no. DJ Moore. We got Fake Football Fun going George Pickens. Jeff going Pickens. Ray, the biggest DJ Moore hater. I am not. Too many targets in Chicago. All right, Jay, let's go with another would you rather here. We got two more players that have to contend with new Dallas Cowboys wide receiver George Pickens. Let's go to my other team, apparently, the Baltimore Ravens. Would you rather George Pickens or Zay Flowers?
I can't believe you even put Zay Flowers on this list. It is easily George Pickens, right? There's almost zero circumstance where I will ever take Zay Flowers as a wide receiver too.
Well, didn't he have 1,000 yards last year? He have 1,000 yards last year?
Okay. How many touchdowns did he score? Like 3 or 4? I'm not a Zay Flowers guy, though. I'm not a Zay Flowers guy. He's a fine receiver, but yeah, he had 1,000 yards and he had 4 touchdowns. So
Kevin says Pickens easy. This is Pickens over Flowers all day. Pickens. Wow. This is our first universal Moggs, finally, some love for Zay Flowers. Moggs says Zay Flowers over Pickens. Sam says Pickens plus.
It's
Pickens over Flowers. All right. George Pickens, can we go another first-round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft? Another first-round receiver? George Pickens or Green Bay Packers wide receiver Matthew Golden?
Ray, am I crazy to say this isn't close and it's Pickens? And it's not because I don't think
I'm
Golden
not
could
telling
be
you
good.
anything.
I don't want to play this game with Matthew Golden. People already don't like him. If he starts out the gate slow and he doesn't look that good, like, I feel like Golden right now is a bit of a sinking ship. Not that I think that he can't, find a raft and escape and be okay, but I do think there's just a very high ceiling for Pickens. And so the answer will be Pickens for me pretty easily. I understand people want Golden, but I want Pickens.
Jimbo, Golden. Fantasy Weaves, Pickens. Fredo, Golden. Jameson, Pickens. Pickens over Golden. Phil says Pickens easily. Not close. The battle of mid, I'm leaning Pickens. Sam says Golden. Probably 10-17 says Golden. There's more Golden love. There's more Golden love. And then Ricky says Zay Flowers. Everybody talking about easy Pickens over Flowers. He outscored Pickens by like 50 points. That's from Ricky 1.
Well, I don't know about 50, but yeah, a decent amount in PPR because he had way more receptions. And again, one's playing with Lamar Jackson and one is playing with Russell Wilson.
Joe says Golden easy. Golden easy.
Big Golden fan.
Joe's been here for a long time, so her voice matters. Her voice matters. She says Golden easy.
Okay, Joe.
Gabe says Golden. Golden for sure. Man, we need an option to vote and pick. Baxter, what's going down? Says Golden in the chat. Pickens or J-Mo? We don't have the picture pull.
Oh,
Pickens or J-Mo?
Pickens
over J-Mo. Easy for you, huh?
Easy. Yeah. I think they do the same things, and I just prefer Pickens.
Okay, well then let's just cut to the freaking chase then, JRich, and let's end it like this. Where do you think he ranks amongst wide receiver twos in the NFL? You've got, I'm just throwing the names out there. You got T. Higgins.
So
T's probably
Higgins,
reviewed as the top.
Waddle.
Smitty.
Addison.
Sure. Who else?
In that tier?
Like in that, like the true difference making wide. Okay, let me go high end. Who do you think?
Well, Travis Hunter.
Well, hold on. Before we get to Hunter, jeez, 2025, this season, not dynasty, this year, George Pickens or Devontae Adams?
I would probably take Devontae Adams.
Wait, why? Just why? Because the name is Devontae Adams?
No, the name is still George Pickens, but the Rams offense is going to go between those two guys. Like in the same way that I'm talking about Dallas' offense being a funnel, like the Rams offense too. The Rams offense is going to be a funnel, and both quarterbacks are great, but Sean McVay went after Devontae Adams, right? And we know that, right? He went out and he got Devontae Adams. He's sending Devontae Adams tape, all this stuff. That ain't happening with George Pickens and Sean. Okay.
Everybody says it. Everybody's saying Adams. Everyone's saying Adams.
I will. It sounds a little crazy, but I will bet on Adams because I think that Adams is going to be great. I really do. I think he's going to be great.
Worthy or Pickens?
Worthy or Pickens? This one's actually tough. That really depends on if you believe in Mahomes, but I'm tempted to take
if you believe
Pickens.
In Mahomes.
To be a big-time fantasy producer, which he hasn't been, right? Like, is he going to throw for 4,000 yards this year? Dak's gonna, right? And we know that. And there is more players at play. Like, there's still Kelsey there. There's still Hollywood there. We some semblance of Rashee Rice, and we'll see from there. But I will take George Pickens.
Pickens or Sutton? I think you would take Pickens over Sutton.
I would want Pickens, but I think the numbers will be very close. And Sutton could easily outproduce him for sure.
Last one. And it's not what we know today. Just the injury, what we know today. Pickens or Chris Godwin?
Oh, I think it's Chris Godwin. I think Chris Godwin is worth the risk, but I think there's no sacrifice in volume. There's arguably more talent on the Godwin side. It's just whether or not you believe there's going to be a ramp-up period for him because of the injury. He seems like he's going to be good to go, but you never know until they're on the field. But I do expect Chris Godwin to be very good once again in 25.
Come on, man. Pickens are back. Get the hell out of here. There was some news. Gabe Davis cut.
The chat wants to know what you think, right? Everyone's telling us about that Gabe Davis cut.
Gabe Davis chopped. I think
do we care?
Because he never.
Why wouldn't he go back to Buffalo?
He never factored into my Jags plans in the first place. I just anybody out there still a little cautious about Hunter playing full-time defense or not being on the field enough to be an impactful offensive player, get that shit out of your head right now. I mean, get it out of your head right now. He is about to get, I mean, he's getting 100 targets this year. I'm 10 toes down on that. He's getting 100 targets. He's going to play some defense. They're just clearing out the room. They're clearing out the room. I think this is good for it is. You talk about a consolidated passing attack. Get ready because it's about to happen in Jacksonville. It's BTJ. It's Travis Hunter. I am going to be releasing a video here in the next couple of days. The same type of exercise that we went through today, looking at George Pickens in Dallas and route concepts and what the quarterback likes to do well. We're releasing one for the Carolina Panthers. I recorded a video on that offensive wide receiver room, Tedero McMillan, Jalen Coker, Xavier Legette, Adam Thielen, and more importantly, Bryce Young. That'll be releasing on the channel. And now I kind of want to do one on Dallas and Pittsburgh, but we kind of did that today. But the same type of analysis, looking at just what these players do well. And you can listen to any receiver that's done playing. Des Bryant, shout out to my dog Des. He talks about it all the time. I didn't run like this robust route tree where I ran all 13 routes. He said I did a couple of things really well and people couldn't stop me. Every receiver has a type. Every quarterback has a type. And if you just look at those patterns and start to pair up using tools like the Trinity where you could look at the usage, you could see like I can project him being this type of player in this offense, in this role. Videos coming out on Carolina. We got another one dropping. And remember, no show on Friday, no show on Monday. Going on vacation tomorrow with the fam. We're going down to Florida. So if you're down at Universal or Disney, holla at me. We'll be out there at the park all damn day. Hit the music, JRich. Hit the music.
I was going to say, are you going to regret that? We'll see.
No, I don't regret it. If you in damn Orlando, holla at me. I'm going to be there. Shit, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there, so come pull up. Come pull up on the kid out there at Universal or at Disney. Anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here, Jay?
No, I appreciate everyone tapping in. I know it seems like we're big on George Pickens, and I think we both are, Ray. I'm not here to speak for you, but I'm excited for this. I think that this Dallas offense, for better or worse, is going to need to put up a lot of points and put up a lot of yards. So I'm not saying go trade all your future draft capital for him. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar, but we're going to see him with some pretty damn good QB play, and I think he's going to play very, very well this season. So get excited, people. George Pickens is going to be a thing in 2025.
Just can't quit that Pickens, man. I appreciate everybody pulling up on the channel. Thank y'all for a great week of content. We appreciate each and every person that joins us live. You could be anywhere in the world, but y'all pull up with us in the morning. So we thank y'all for that. Subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up button, like the content, check out all of the other content on DDFFB. That's DD Fantasy Football. If you want access to our community, you can do that via Patreon, patreon.com/allgas. Or like the better thing, go to the website. There's a code for 50% off in the description of this video. Use that Trinity tracker. Come join the Discord. Holla at us in there. We appreciate each and every eye, each and every ear. Y'all have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see y'all bright and early on Wednesday next week. Y'all be easy, man. We out. Peace.